The story begins in 1970s Harlem, a very rough place at the time. Poverty and violence ruled the community, and people did what they had to do to survive. One of these people was Melvin Combs, a man who climbed the ranks as a dealer in Harlem. But Melvin lived a double life, one where he risked his life and freedom in the streets, and another where he provided for his wife and 2 children. But by all accounts, Melvin and his wife did a great job sheltering their kids from the chaotic streets. Sadly though, in the mid-1970s, Melvin would lose his life to a deal gone wrong. On paper, Melvin was just another statistic, one of the thousands in New York City. But to his son named Sean, he was his everything. Sean was in elementary school when his father passed away, and his mother always told him that it was a car crash. Her idea was to shelter him from all things bad, and she even moved him into the suburbs. So in the 6th grade, the family moved to the city of Mount Vernon, and Sean attended a private Montessori school. In many cases, going from inner city to a private school can be a struggle, but not for a young Sean Combs. He was highly intelligent and charismatic, an instant leader amongst boys. So Sean spent the rest of his adolescence in Mount Vernon, thriving amongst his wealthier classmates. After high school, his good grades led him to the prestigious Howard University. There, he became an absolute star in all facets. He joined a fraternity and was known for throwing the best parties in DC. On top of this, he started a cab service that would safely take home drunk students after parties. He was already a natural businessman, and everyone knew that he was destined for success. All he had to do was wait patiently for his first major opportunity. For him, this would come rather early. In fact, it was in 1989 after his freshman year. While home in Mount Vernon, he linked up with a good childhood friend named Dwight Myers, also known as Heavy D. Growing up, Heavy D was like a big brother to Sean, a mentor in many ways. Well, Heavy was a talented rapper, and by 1989 he signed a major deal with Uptown Records. So over the summer, he introduced his friend Sean to the owner of Uptown Records, a respected mogul by the name of Andre Harrell. Right off the bat, Andre took a special liking to a young Sean Combs, like an oddly special liking. I guess he saw major potential in him because he decided to give him a major opportunity right away. So in the summer of 1989, Sean was hired as an intern at Uptown Records. Over the summer, Sean spent countless hours in the studio and in meetings with major artists from around the country. It was truly a dream come true for a freshman in college, something that's pretty much unheard of. Well, the fall comes around and Sean has to return to campus in DC. Andre didn't want him to go and tried to convince him to drop out and stay with the label, but Sean's mother was not having it. So together they came to a compromise. Twice a week, Sean would take the train from DC to New York to be at the Uptown office. This was 4 hours each way, meaning that Sean spent a total of 16 hours a week just to remain an intern at Uptown. This really didn't make any sense. What could he bring to the table that required him to do all of this hassle? Well, you might find out in just a second, so hold on. This crazy lifestyle continued for a few months until Andre Harrell put his foot down. He offered him a full-time job at the label if he would drop out of Howard and return back to New York. Sean accepted it, and it worked out extremely well. This is because at just 20 years old, Sean was promoted to the vice president of the label. Whoa, now we're all thinking the same thing, aren't we? Why in the world would Andre Harrell promote a 20-year-old to the vice president of his label? The music industry is one of the hardest to crack, and for most it takes decades to get this position. So how did Sean Combs really get this job so young? And that leads us to a little bit of deep diving history. Back in the day, Andre Harrell had a very similar story to Sean Combs. He was another college student in the Bronx hoping to one day work in the music industry. And while in college, he was discovered by a legendary music mogul by the name of Clive Davis. For those who don't know, Clive is famous for founding Arista Records and for being one of the first moguls to come out of the closet. Well, Clive took a special liking to Andre and took him under his wing in the music industry. Long story short, in 1985, Andre was given funding to start his own music label, one called Uptown Records. So just like Puff, Andre went out and discovered underground rappers, one of which being Heavy D. So again, this begs the same question: how did Andre get this position at such a young age? Well, according to Sean's former assistant, it's all a power dynamic with Clive Davis at the top. The insinuation is that the boss takes advantage of a young intern and will pay them back later on.
Tell us how
Who
was
was
he
mentored by Clive Davis.
Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too. Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too.
Regardless of the truth, stories like these have always been rumored in entertainment. Essentially, you get taken advantage of by those in power, and that's how you make it in your industry. Then the idea is that over time, the former victims become the perpetrators. Now, of course, these are all just rumors, but Jaguar does get more specific. When Sean was hired at Uptown, Andre Harrell had a personal assistant named Kim Porter, and the rumor states that she caught Sean doing special favors for Andre.
But then again, you know, you had it in for Andre because Andre used to make you and Kim Porter had footage of it.
The rumors have never proven to be true, but they will be important later on. Well, make of all that what you want, but the fact is that Sean's career took off from here.